In 2018, Donald Trump initiated a trade war with China. Now, in 2025, it's back, and it's more intense than ever. With tariffs soaring and tensions escalating, we're witnessing a pivotal moment in global trade. Let's delve into the latest developments. Trump seems to be using a divide-and-conquer strategy. Keep Russia under control, but avoid pushing it closer to China. Concentrate U.S. power on confronting Beijing, through tariffs, tech bans, and reshoring manufacturing. Is Trump easing tensions with Russia to focus on China? Even in 2025, Trump extended U.S. sanctions on Russia for another 12 months, showing he's still keeping pressure on Moscow. However, unlike what he did with China, he didn't add new tariffs on Russian goods. Why? Because he's trying to keep diplomatic channels open, especially for talks around the war in Ukraine. He even sent a U.S. envoy to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg to push for progress in peace talks. So, no, Trump isn't going soft on Russia. But yes, he's being more flexible, likely for strategic reasons. While being cautious with Russia, Trump is going all in against China. He imposed tariffs as high as 145% on Chinese imports. He launched new trade measures targeting Chinese tech and supply chains. Even though he temporarily exempted items like iPhones and laptops, to avoid hurting U.S. consumers, the pressure is clearly on China. The economic showdown intensifies. Upon returning to the presidency in January 2025, Trump wasted no time in reigniting trade tensions. By April, the U.S. had imposed a staggering 145% tariff on Chinese imports, citing national security and economic fairness. China retaliated with a 125% tariff on U.S. goods, leading to a significant decline in bilateral trade. This tit-for-tat escalation has disrupted global supply chains and raised concerns about a looming recession. Targeting technology and trade practices. The Trump administration has focused on curbing China's technological advancements. While temporarily exempting consumer electronics like smartphones and laptops from tariffs, the administration plans to impose sector-specific levies on semiconductors and other tech components. These measures aim to encourage domestic production and reduce reliance on Chinese manufacturing. However, critics argue that such policies could disrupt the tech industry and lead to higher consumer prices. But why does Trump keep targeting China? Why not Europe, or Mexico, or other trading partners with issues of their own? The answer lies in a mix of economics, politics, and power. First, China is America's largest trade rival. The U.S. has a massive trade deficit with China, over $280 billion in goods annually. For Trump, this isn't just an imbalance, it's evidence that China is cheating the system by undercutting American businesses with cheap labor, subsidies, and currency manipulation. Second, Trump views China as a threat to U.S. global dominance. He's made it clear, this is not just about economics, it's about who leads the world in the next century. In his speeches, he often says that China wants to replace us. From his perspective, China's rise in AI, military power, and global influence isn't organic, it's been fueled by unfair trade practices and intellectual property theft. Third, Trump believes that China has taken advantage of the World Trade Organization, WTO, and international rules. While the U.S. opened its markets, China allegedly kept many of theirs closed. Trump says, "We let them into the WTO, and what did we get? Factory jobs gone, towns destroyed, and a giant competitor." Politically, it also makes sense. Blaming China works. In Rust Belt states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan, where many manufacturing jobs have disappeared, talking tough on China is a winning message. It taps into real economic pain and promises to bring back jobs by holding Beijing accountable. And then there's the ideological divide. Trump sees the Chinese Communist Party as a dangerous, authoritarian regime. He argues that America should not be dependent on a country that doesn't share democratic values. During the 2020s, this rivalry evolved beyond trade. It became a full-spectrum competition: tech, military, diplomacy, and ideology. From banning Huawei and TikTok to cutting off China's access to U.S. semiconductors, Trump's goal was clear: slow down China's rise. Protect America's lead. In short, Trump doesn't just dislike China, he sees it as the main obstacle to American greatness. And in 2025, that belief is even stronger. With the global economy shifting, and China still expanding its influence, Trump's message to voters is: we can't let China win. Whether you agree or not, this perspective shapes real policies, tariffs, bans, and alliances. And it's why the U.S.-China conflict is about much more than money. It's about power, pride, and the future of the world order. Beyond tariffs, the administration has enacted policies affecting various sectors. The Liberation Day tariffs introduced a 10% baseline tariff on all imports, with higher rates for specific countries. Additionally, the removal of the de minimis rule means that low-cost imports from China, previously exempt from tariffs, now face additional fees. These changes have significant implications for businesses and consumers, potentially altering purchasing behaviors and market dynamics. The Guardian. The escalating trade war has reverberated across global markets. Economists warn of increased inflation and the risk of a recession. The stock market has experienced volatility, with investors expressing concern over the long-term impact of sustained tariffs. Moreover, the strained U.S.-China relationship has prompted other nations to reassess their trade strategies, potentially leading to a realignment of global economic alliances. The Australian. As the trade war continues, questions arise about the future of U.S.-China relations. Will negotiations resume, or will tensions persist? The outcome will have profound implications for global trade, economic stability, and geopolitical dynamics. Stakeholders worldwide are closely monitoring developments, understanding that the decisions made today will shape the economic landscape for years to come. The 2025 U.S.-China trade war marks a critical juncture in international relations. As policies evolve and markets react, staying informed is more important than ever. Subscribe to our channel for the latest updates and in-depth analyses on this and other global economic issues.